Oh.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Black Impact. We are back with the second episode, Codependency Part 2. I have a lovely guest with me here by the name of Walt. Hey, everybody, give applause out to Walt for coming on. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about Codependency Part 2. So my first question for Walt today is, what is your preference on codependency?
Preference. What do you mean by that? Like preference?
Like when you think of codependency, like what do you think about?
What comes to mind?
Yes, what comes to mind when you think about codependency?
Essentially relying on someone or something to like fulfill you. You always feel incomplete as a person, and you relying on other people or things to make you whole. And you can't really, it gets to a point to where it's like you don't even realize your self-worth. So you'll be doing stuff that goes against your worth, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of pleasing whoever you with. So you don't feel alone, you know what I'm saying? You always need something or someone. So that's just a little take on what I think codependency is.
Yeah, when you say you don't really know like your self-worth.
No, I was saying that essentially I feel like codependency is when you rely on someone or something to fulfill you, to bring you validation, because you don't really understand. You don't have an identity really established, so you outsourcing for identities or identities you think that's gonna suit you, that fits your mold, so to speak. Like you can't really do anything without someone or something.
Not knowing your self-worth or basically knowing who you are, depending on other people for
validation for life, essentially, because you don't feel alive without other people or other things.
Right.
You don't have a purpose. You just solely relying on, even if it hurts you. Like if you're in a relationship that you know isn't beneficial for you anymore, and mind you, every situation is different. But if you're codependent, you'll literally stay there and deal with everything because you don't want to be alone. Or if you let go of this person, you're gonna miss out on this thing that fulfilled you for so long.
Right.
You know.
But I want to know, like, why do we stay in situations like that when we know it's not good? Like, why we just can't leave? Why can't we have enough strength that will build us up to like walk away if we know that that's not serving us? Right. Like, why do we always fall into that comfortability of staying and not being able to get up and walk away from that?
That's a good question. I think it's different for everybody. I think me personally, from my experience, we don't really, it's because I was codependent as a mug. You hear me? It was bad. Yeah, man. Listen.
What made you codependent?
Not having an identity in the beginning, you know, like growing up, not knowing who you are. If you still don't know, or that's why I said everything, when it boils down to it, like God is the way, the truth, and the life. But God is literally the way. Because if you don't have an identity in the beginning, you're not going to have one when you get older. You're still going to be repeating the same cycle that you repeated as a child. You're just going to be older now doing it, not realizing how much detriment you're doing to your own mental health. Because when you're supposed to be growing and figuring out who you are, identifying, you know, your purpose, you're just sitting there spinning your wheels, wasting time.
But why do you say like you felt like you didn't have identity like when you were growing up? Like what makes you identify yourself?
It's about to be, I'm gonna say this to preface it, because we humans, we can't identify, we operate off of emotion.
Right.
We think our heart, going with our heart is a good thing.
Right.
And it's wicked. Our hearts are very deceitful because we allow our heart to manipulate us into thinking that we're pursuing a good thing instead of going to a source. That's why I said you need a source,
right,
in order to know what to do and where, so you can figure out where you're going. You can't just think, oh man, I'm sad about this, so I don't. And you're operating based on your preferences, honestly.
But what if you don't have a source? How do you like? What do you go off if you don't have anything?
It's a great question. Something that I did. I tried to have conversations with other people. It might have been some things that my woman, identified that I didn't see. So I would reach out to other people and ask them, like, hey, have you ever seen this from me? You know what I'm saying? Just so I can see how I am in other people's eyes.
Is that validation from other people though?
It is.
Do we have to identify ourselves by people identifying who we are?
Not necessarily using their like acknowledgement as a sense of validation, but just seeing what they see. Like, because 50
Their
people can tell
you.
Yeah, because if you ask 50 different people, like, hey, what do you think about me? They might tell you 50 different things. But that's 50 different sources of information that you have now. And you can say, all right, well, I know that's not me. You know what I'm saying? Or that is me. It just gives you, further, breakdown about who you are in the eyes of other people. Not using that as validation to make yourself feel credible or worthy, but just like a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are kind of like our best teachers. You know what I'm saying? Outside of God, God gave us people to,
Right.
So like, people are our best teachers. So just taking whatever information you get from people, how they feel about you, and just try to match it up to what you know about yourself, being real with yourself, not just saying, oh, they just feel like that because of X, Y, Z.
But what makes you really know who you are, despite of other people's opinion?
Getting deep.
Yeah, like deep. How you know who you are? Is it just because of the stuff that you like? Maybe you only like it in that moment.
Exactly.
So what defines you as this is you? But by you repeatedly doing something over and over?
And that's insanity. That's insanity.
So like, how you define yourself? Like,
yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what I did. And it worked. It's still working because it's an ongoing thing. It's a lifelong process. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna just start following God, one day and then that's it. It's really like a practice. You gotta do this every day. So what I did was I sought God, and I just started to, like, he put people in my life to where as though they could kind of help me in that walk. As I'm still, on my personal walk with God, because we all need our own personal relationships with the Lord. But that helped me a lot, because a lot of situations I would normally respond to with anger, I respond to with understanding. And it might upset me that this thing is happening, but I have to understand why it's happening and then why it's upsetting me so much. But it's like, it took for pain to help me understand a path. And then it took the path to lead to my purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
That's seeking God. I definitely agree with that. My shirt said God is dope. So that's my number one source here. Okay. I feel like if you don't navigate out of God, like, I don't know that my preference. I don't know what everybody else does, but I feel like if I don't move with him, ain't nothing gonna move. Period.
Hey, ain't nothing moving.
Ain't nothing moving. I don't care what nobody say when it come to me. I don't know what you do, but with me,
yeah, that's the truth.
my preference of how I identify like who I am, and that how I identify myself is without other people like giving me validation of myself, is just sitting with myself and trying to figure out like who I am, like what I like, and not just that moment, but just overall period, like who I am, what do I got going on, or like what drives me to be who I am. So I mean, yes, I I listen to what people say and piggyback off of that. But sometimes when it comes to that, I found it in myself. Like when certain people say certain things about me, like I kind of like brush it off. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, thank you." Like I realize it, but it's like, "Oh, you realize that too?" Like
Yeah.
just because you realize don't mean that it's going to define me. Like I already know that about myself,
Right.
but I know that about myself because I sat with myself, and also I feel like I had to think about what I wanted to be in the world. So I think that, ties into, my self image or whatever, or how you define yourself as who you are or whatever.
Amen.
But I do think that we seek a lot of validation from other people and let people put them definitions on us instead of learning ourselves.
Yeah. The only voice that matters is God's.
Yeah, for sure.
Like whatever people say don't really matter. It's just good to know like who you're around, because that's the whole thing. Like you ask somebody, "Hey, what you think about me?" You get to see how they feel about you.
Right. You got to look at them in every way.
Yeah, and it can't be from a judgmental place because we can't judge
Yeah.
nobody. But just hey, just tell me, does that when I do X Y Z, does that
Yeah.
annoy you in a way?
But you got to be open to receive that.
Yeah, and it's
Because
not
what if they
easy.
tell you some stuff that you don't agree with?
Yeah,
You got to be open to receive that. It's criticism,
yeah,
open criticism. A lot of
yeah.
people ain't accustomed to that.
Now it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard because insecurity plays a part in that.
Yep.
And you sitting there trying to figure out, like, dang, and this person said this and this about me. The whole time they right. You just not, you just don't have any accountability. It's like, but no, insecurity though, like people not open to criticism because they don't have any accountability and they kind of insecure. It takes for a person to have both of that to really sit through some constructive criticism. Because people telling you about something you really don't want to hear. You're open to them being honest with you or truthful.
Mhm.
You know, and that hurt.
Yeah, that do hurt.
Be like, dang, that's how you feel.
Yeah,
Dang.
that's how you see me.
Yeah, yeah. But if you know you're not like that,
Yeah.
then it's like, well, I know that's cat.
Right.
But I appreciate you though
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
letting me know.
Right. I feel like insecurities play a major factor in being codependent
Absolutely.
because it's like that person that you're codependent on, those insecurities that you have, you're trying to feel that in that person or them people.
Yeah.
You know,
I see what you're saying.
like
Like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
so. Yeah, I'm still thinking.
We building, y'all. This is real constructive. This is constructive.
Yeah, like being I don't per se feel like that I'm codependent on anyone. They might be codependent on me.
Mm.
You know, I
Mm-hmm.
might I might have something that they need to feel whatever, but I don't feel like I'm.
For sure.
But I want to
100%.
say I was watching a video today actually, and then someone was talking about how codependency is not real because we are made to depend on people because that's why God created us. Like if we sat there and didn't depend on anyone, what would we get in life? What would we how would we grow? You know?
Mm.
But I feel like it's also like a double standard because um it depends on how you depend on that person. Are you depending on that person for a negative outcome or like a positive outcome? Because if you're depending on that person to help you elevate and grow and move forward in your life, then
Mm-hmm.
that's good. But if you're dependent on them in like a negative way and it's not helping you, prosper in life, then
Mm-hmm.
that's when that toxic trait, starts the circling of codependency,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think codependency is a bad thing. I just think that it just depends on how you are and
Mm-hmm.
what like how you are in life and what are you moving towards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I get that. I do want to say that because I agree to a certain extent, like we are supposed to depend on people to a certain extent. However, first we must depend on God.
yes,
And then God will put the people in our lives that He needs for us
to depend on
to do, what He needs us to do. Because
right.
like we can't depend on people because we put an expectation on people. And when we expect something from somebody, we only expecting that because in our mind that's how we would do it. But if they don't live up to the
So that
thing that you
means,
anticipate,
yeah,
it's going to disappoint
point
you.
you, right. But see, that's when you're not supposed to you're not supposed to have an expectation on someone. You're supposed to just like, ride it out.
Understand where they at
Yeah.
and see if
Yeah.
it need to get better but nah, people, because everybody's hurt
Yeah.
in some way, form, or fashion. And the more people start talking about their pain from a place of really wanting to understand, not victimization,
Yes.
not deflecting, placing the blame, saying, "Oh, you made me feel like this," or "You did." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like really taking responsibility for your actions,
right,
your mindset, everything, and be willing to say, "All right, I need some work." But that takes, man.
That takes a lot to take accountability, to be able to listen to that and not be able to just react on what they saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, that take a lot of work to do that. I mean, a lot of people are not doing that, and maybe they are, but I want to say 70 out of 100 people,
probably
percent say
you might be giving it more than
right.
You know what I'm saying? Might be a little less than that. Like for real. I think like we just gonna throw percentages out here, but I think at least 99.9% of people who watch this are experiencing codependency.
Yep. I
For
believe that's
sure.
probably true. Yeah, they probably are.
In some way, form, or fashion. Whether it's a person or a thing or, something outside of you.
Yep, I think so too.
Sucks, but so it's like some actionable steps to really like overcome that though, or just to help yourself acknowledge it. Number one, God, in my opinion. I'm gonna say it's my strong opinion for the sake of people watching this
God,
video.
seeking God with
Yeah.
everything.
Seek ye first the kingdom. Y'all stop playing, man. Turn to God, because listen, nothing else works. Everything is temporary.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything outside of God is temporary.
Yeah.
Everything. You can come up with a master plan on how to become a better person by next year. You can, write books on how to become, how to find your love and your partner for life and all this other stuff. But if it ain't come from God, it ain't gonna last.
That's true.
So
that is true.
I think a lot of time we looking for our thing in everybody else without going to God first. Because we think we're not supposed to lean into our own understanding. We're supposed to acknowledge God, trust God, acknowledge Him in all our ways. So if we thinking that we can find the people for us, we're misleading ourselves because we don't know.
Right.
Only God knows. That's why relationships, be toxic.
Yep.
Or they don't last as long as they should last.
I be feeling like people know, like, though they just don't be. They just ignore a lot of They just ignore a lot of things. But we be
Why
knowing.
You think that is though?
Why we ignore comfortability? Like we be so comforted in certain things. Codependent. That plays. It's codependency. Like we are comfortable with a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. Why we settle for a lot of stuff that we don't deserve. When we wanting better, we say we want better for ourselves, but we really don't because we be so fixed on certain things that be happening. We just allow stuff to happen.
Yeah, which sucks.
Yeah, I have done it in the past. I ain't doing it now. I mean, I grown to, get out of
like
that.
You got
but
boundaries.
Yeah, like I had, but it's either when it comes to boundaries, like I feel like when people talk about boundaries, they talk about boundaries to the point where they have to tell that person their boundary. The boundary is not made for you telling them. The boundary is made for yourself.
For you, yeah.
For setting that that standard for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to tell them, of course that's fine. But
I mean, essentially, what you tell them for?
Right, because it's like you telling them your boundaries is only for them to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Some,
like I might do this thing,
right?
So I'm telling you my boundaries. So
right.
if you try to do it,
exactly.
Like, come on, you ain't really got boundaries,
right?
So
but it's really holding yourself accountable of your own standards. That's what the boundary is for. Like,
yeah,
if they cross that line,
tolerate.
Yeah, if they cross that line with you, then you already know how to navigate and move from there.
100%.
Yeah, so I always believe in boundaries, like with everything. You have to, because people will go as far as you let them go. But if you don't establish those boundaries for yourself, then
exactly,
you can't. What you moving off?
Yeah, essentially. That's why people be, because I was like that too, not really having boundaries to where as though I allow stuff that I would never allow, and I made excuses for it because I love you. What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
And I'm pretty sure on her side it was the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But I think what'll help is, God, come on. Like both people really, it take a lot of work for both people to be on the same page. Being fully accountable though, it's a difference between being on the same page as far as how many kids you want, what kind of house you want, what kind of car you want, what kind of job.
Stuff.
That superficial stuff. It's cool. It's good. But at the end of the day, like, what does the internal look like?
Yeah.
The stuff that's gonna last.
Right.
Because I can get out of this thing and jump into another thing and feel like materialistically I ain't got to struggle no more, but internally I'm suffering still.
Yeah, I don't think people really like even think about that work to put in for that. They just so fixated on the aspect of the relationship, but they don't really like deep dive into that growing and that work it takes to be in that.
Yeah. I think for real, because it hurts so bad because you got to tear yourself down. You got to literally like rebuild from the foundation on up. Because everything you learn up until that point of you realizing it didn't work. So it's like, what do? Do you just pick up where you left off with a better understanding of it? Or do you just scratch everything and start over? What's easy? What's better? What's easier is just picking up and
Yeah.
But the hard part is really tearing everything down
and building it up again.
Yeah,
we won't be doing that.
A lot of tears, man.
A lot of tears.
A lot of tears. Men cry, for sure.
That's a good thing though, because a lot of men ain't. You guys are not vulnerable. You guys are. I don't know about you, but I know. This is the thing about guys. They're not vulnerable. They're not in touch with their emotional side. I mean, nowadays they are. They're a little sassy. Okay.
That's different. That's different. No disrespect to nobody who may be a little sassy, but that's different.
But no, now I feel like a lot of guys are more vocal. They're more emotional. Like they leading with emotions now. Like they coming out a little bit. I mean, I feel like the guys that women are dating, they're telling them, right? It's just the fact that we're not listening. We are listening to, what am I trying to say? We're listening to we're listening in that moment, but we're not grasping like what they're saying.
Not grasping the whole thing, like, which is understandable too. What happens?
Because that's how we put ourselves in these situations that we be codependent on. Because that person probably told you some stuff that'll trigger your insecurity, and you just
want to hear it.
Yeah. So I feel like we just don't be listening, but y'all definitely be talking and telling us.
I appreciate
But
you
not
for
all
saying
of
that.
them.
Yeah, because I was vocal at some point about how I felt.
Were you though? So I'm not just
Yeah.
saying.
No, but really, was I? Like, I don't know. I mean, as far as I could tell at the time, I was being vocal. I was saying some stuff that I didn't normally say about my feelings, how I felt.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah.
And depending on who's receiving it, they can look at it as like, all right, well, he must need something in this moment. Like, how can I help? Or somebody can look at it like, I ain't trying to hear all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang.
But it also depends on what part in their life, were you in at that moment, because they probably wasn't receiving it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or, they wasn't probably reciprocating your feelings because they probably were in a different season,
Yeah.
So that's probably maybe.
Yeah, it's all hypothetical because
Yeah.
we don't really know. It's just observing and trying to put things together as we go. We're getting closer to the answer because it's really simple. I just feel like
I do think it's simple.
It's really simple.
I just think that we don't be paying attention. We don't really be listening. We just be responding. We don't really put the time in and do the work for ourselves. We just let the world like make decisions for us, or let other people make decisions for us. So that's why like we stay in certain situations because of validation from other people. Yeah.
I pray for us all. I mean, I know.
Sounds so sad. I pray for us all. We're so doomed.
Yeah, like we're doomed. It's over, folks. But no, it's a serious thing because, like, you got people who may think that they're happy. Well, happy, that emotion is fleeting. Like happiness is temporary. But they think they're happy. They think they're joyful in whatever they got going on. But they suffer just as much, and they probably don't say anything because they want to maintain that image that they have for themselves. Like, all right, I'm in a better place now, but they're really not. They thought they were. You know what I'm saying? It all boils down to the individual, and that's why it's so hard because it's a lot of individuals out here, and a lot of individuals think they need to be in everybody's face, popular. They need to be validated.
Yep. I mean, I feel like the world puts that on our back from the beginning. We have to be validated from. Look how our ancestors were treated back then. In slavery, the lighter person was
able to access the house.
Yeah, what they call. I'm gonna have to leave this out.
House people.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
house people, right?
Because whoever watches it know. They gotta know.
So and there were house people, but the darker person had to be outside in the field, cleaning after the house people kids, making their meals and stuff like that. They didn't have the privilege to like be in the house, and that because the people put that standard on their back.
Yeah.
Made it seem like they wasn't good enough. They wasn't worthy enough to be in the house to get, those access warm, to the hot meals privileges and be in that bed and stuff like that, to even own anything.
Right.
So I feel like it stems from way back in the day, like the things that we had to go through, and then once we moved past that, then we came into like how the world we are in today, and still them people putting it on our back that how we have to be good enough to have an education or like a degree, a type of job of the people just in general, like these people make us feel like we're not worthy of certain things, and I just feel like that's not fair. That's why, but that's like we coming up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So
Sit down.
God told us not to focus on things of this world, and focus on things that's above. Because if we focus on the stuff that goes on in the world, we'll be so caught up in the world. It's a big
never get
distraction.
far.
Yeah, it's a
We'd
big
never get
distraction.
far. Yeah.
Like people still use what you just said
Mhm.
as an excuse not to do better.
That's so
because
true.
they feel like they're holding me back.
Yep.
But they're not holding you back.
You holding yourself back.
Exactly. But you think that because they set up this system that you can't succeed, but you can.
Right.
So you just blaming them because you don't have the drive to make it happen, or the purpose, the will, whatever you want to call it.
You talk about purpose. How do people figure out like what their purpose is? Like you don't really know. I'm saying for
Great
myself,
question.
like I don't really. I feel like I'm in my purpose now, but before I don't even think I was on that. I was just living life.
Yeah.
By day, you know, not really thinking about that. But now I feel like I don't know, something changed for me.
Yeah, like it clicked. It's like, huh?
Yeah, and it's like I feel like I'm on my journey to my purpose now. But how do people even figure out like what's their purpose? Because sometimes you feel like you want to do something in life, but sometimes that ain't
that might not be
the way to go. You know, they not be the thing. So how do you even go
find
to
your
that?
purpose? I honestly can't tell you. Only thing I can tell you for sure is that God helped me find mine, and I feel like it's not even my like the full picture. I think it's just an aspect of what I'm supposed to do once I reach that point. You know what I'm saying? So I just take everything, like the experiences that I have. So I like talking.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was never like this. I was shy.
Really? When did you come out of that?
When I started learning about sales, like because I sold cars before too. It wasn't long.
I thought you was about to say when I started my spiritual journey.
Oh no! I was talking. I was very talkative before that. See, God was taking it was baby steps. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I sold cars for a little bit, and that kind of sparked my interest in sales.
Okay.
So you got to be able to talk.
Yeah.
If you're a salesman, but that helped with everything else because now we here having a conversation about codependency. You know.
Yep.
I wouldn't have opened up if I was still, in that same mindset that I had like a year ago.
Do you think because you went through the things that you went in your relationship that triggered your codependency, it you just say yeah. Do you think you had to go through those certain things to be able to be the person that you are?
No,
or could you could skip that route?
You can't skip that. That's pain. Everybody need to go through a certain level of pain to where so it breaks you. Like when you're crushed, when God crushes a man, that's when He's building them to become great.
So you don't feel like? Do you feel like that's the only thing that broke you in that?
I felt like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the thing that was on the surface, but it was so much that played into that as to why that didn't work. So that cracked open the ground for everything else that I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just opened up that door to everything. And that's when I was able to go down that proverbial rabbit hole and really see what was what. Because there's a lot of stuff I didn't even know existed.
Really?
Like even stuff I thought was normal.
Like what?
Just like I was an ice cream guy, right?
What's an ice cream guy?
No, I like ice cream.
Oh. So I'm like, what's the ice cream guy?
But no, look, I like ice cream. So sometimes I was a little selfish with ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Because my woman would get ice cream, and she'll be asleep, and then be one night like, "Dang, I want some ice cream."
Oh, you were trying to hold it for yourself?
No, I would actually eat it, and then I'll tell myself I'm gonna replace it, which my intention was to replace it.
Wait,
however, I didn't. That wasn't even the whole thing. The whole thing was the mindset that I gathered before I even touched the ice cream. Me thinking that it was okay to eat something that she got for herself.
Oh, you was eating her ice cream?
Yeah, I ate her ice cream. Yeah, man, it was terrible. Because I already know if somebody ate my ice cream, I'd be blown. I eat some ice cream one time.
You was eating her ice cream.
Yeah. But it's something small like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I think my plan is better than her feelings? Like in this moment, like, cause what if she got up and decided to get some ice cream at the same time I decided to crack that thing open? And then I'd be, you know what I'm saying? Like
why
I was.
Can't y'all share?
Yeah, see, we could, but that's another conversation. But right now, it's like I gotta wake you up to do all that. I'm gonna get a little bit, but see, I wasn't even in that mindset at the time. I was very, in some ways, I was very like immature, very inconsiderate, very selfish.
Why you feel like you were? What made you that way?
I don't really know. I think part of it was like I don't know.
You don't know what made you like selfish or inconsiderate?
Man, I don't know. It all stemmed from childhood. I was like, I ain't really like people playing my games.
Were you
My
only
video
child?
games. Nah, I got siblings. I'm the
I
oldest.
mean, you was the oldest. That's where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They always probably would take your stuff. Y'all always had to share. And when
It
you
got to a point I was like, nah, it's mine.
you don't want to share no more.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to sharing.
But it's crazy because I would act like that, but I was still expecting to share with me. Selfish. And that rolled into adulthood too.
Yeah.
And people like it's so subtle, but it's something.
But it plays
so
a
small.
big
It plays a big
part
part
in your life, and like you just said, you didn't even know where it came from until I just said it. You didn't even think about it.
I didn't think about it at all. I just knew, it had to come from there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something I would just develop as an adult.
Right.
Just gonna decide to be selfish now.
Right.
But yeah, pain. If people went through a certain level of pain, that'll help people like really transform or like try to begin. Because you can take that pain and actually grow from it. We can take that pain and become
destroy
worse
yourself.
from it. Yeah. So it all depends on the person.
Yep, and depends on you. What makes you like strong enough to fight through that pain to keep going?
Knowing you can't do it by yourself, and you putting that trust in God. He's a comforter. He gives you rest. And it's gonna be hard because it's like this. Normally, as humans, we need something like physically present for us to feel security or comfort. Like because in our minds, it's like, all right, it's here. I can hug it. I can touch it. I can hear something from you. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But when I tell you, God provides, and that's.
Yeah, but what about the people who don't believe in God? Like I do know
Everybody
some people,
believe in God.
I don't think that is true.
I'm gonna tell you why.
I don't think that I have met people who have said certain things about like not being spirit, like they don't believe in God. I want to say I wouldn't call them an atheist.
Yeah.
I would just say like they just don't believe in that person. They don't believe in
something superior than them.
Yes.
Right.
But I be thinking like, how you think you got where you at?
Right. That's pride. How can you not believe there's a superior being out there more powerful than you? How can you think that you are it when you got billionaires in this world who can look down on you and throw a billion on you real quick and crush you, and you sitting up here trying to make 30 an hour? But you talking like
that could be snatched from you in a minute.
In an instant. People got too much pride.
Yeah, for sure.
God resists the proud, but He exalts the humble. That's why I walk in humility, man. I've always been humble though. I'm trying not to be so proud, because you being proud, that means you think you did it on your own. You really did not. So everybody believe in God in a way. They believe in science. Science is the study of something.
Yeah.
Science studies creation. Who created the thing?
Right. Yep.
You inhale every day. You don't get poisoned. You don't die. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Who did that?
Who did that?
I'm just asking for a friend.
Who did that?
So